watch us get into it. We some lumberjacks, and we needin' wood. Yeah, we going for the sweep, then we mop it up. We put it all on the block, and then we chop it up, 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 chop it up. We put it all on the block, and then we chop it up.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Wednesday night, and that means only one thing: church. Nah, I'm just playing with you. It's the Chop and Block podcast presented by DJ's Clam Shack, and this is the NFL show, the weekly broadcast. We didn't come to you last week. We had some sickness, some bird flu, something going on in the Chop and Block. But I'll tell you what, we got a great crew tonight. Coach Price, offensive coordinator of the Dalton Danger, if I'm correct, right?
You got it.
Coach of my Mites football team growing up, and Pepperell legend, the Thoroughbred Havoc, the CCW Tag Team Champion of the World, representing the Brotherhood, the absolute scum of the earth in professional wrestling, and our executive producer and your host tonight, Bisa Kane. Lead us through, and look at all these jerseys above my head. The king stays high. Tom Brady, been out of the game a little while, but he's still on top.
Speaking of Tom Brady, that was a firing in Las Vegas. Okay? And listen, guys, I woke up this morning and my phone just, you know how we all get these alerts to what's going on. I'm sure y'all get them too. It says somebody got fired in the wee hours. Now, they say anything after 12 o'clock, nothing good is going on. And nobody knows that better than McDaniels right now. And one thing I did not know, and I don't know if it's confirmed or not, is that Tom Brady may be trying to be an owner in his franchise, some type of percentage of an owner. So my wheels got to turning. And I was like, is this Brady making his move and saying, let's shake this thing up? The GOAT is in town, and let's get this ball rolling. I got to come to you first, Dalton. You got all them jerseys hanging behind you. I got to come to you. What you say? What happened? Was this a Brady thing?
No, this is a Jimmy Garoppolo thing. Okay. He has been trash for a little while. He was blessed with absolute talent in San Francisco, underachieved there. Wasn't good enough to beat out Tom Brady, which nobody is. So they sent him packing from New England. And that's when Bill Belichick wanted him. You know, he wanted him to take over Tom Brady, and they wanted to send Tom Brady packing. And we look at it, 7 years down the road, Brady added another, 2 Super Bowls in New England and 1 in Tampa Bay. So we saw how that went. I don't know what to think about this. I'll tell you what, when I woke up to go to work, the biscuits needed to be made, It's 5:30 in the morning. We got this text at 2:30 in the morning. So I know that's on the West Coast, but if you think about it, that's 11:30 p.m. That's almost like they went into his office last night and saw him doing something illegal. Drinking on the job, passed out on his office. Something went wrong. But I'll be honest, it's the whole season. It's not a one-time deal. He's underachieved every time he's had a chance to be a head coach. He goes to the Broncos, gets fired in the middle of the season. He's the only coach ever to be fired in the middle of the season twice. So that's a terrible stat to take with you. But guess what? He's going to go back and be an offensive coordinator somewhere and probably win a Super Bowl. That's about all he can do.
Well, what's 12 divided by 2?
6 of them.
He got 6 of them rings on his fingers, don't it?
I mean, how many did he play? I mean, he didn't even get the opportunity to take a kneel down. He's like, Jimmy, hold the clipboard. So I don't know. I think it's a shame what happened to well, I almost said Henry Ruggs. It's a shame what happened to Henry Ruggs and what he did. And that just started the domino effect in Las Vegas. Then you've got Davante Adams, who is a literal ghost out there. Josh McDaniels had the opportunity. And honestly, I think he had his quarterback when he had Derek Carr and he sent him packing. He was at least better than what we're seeing here, or go Jared Stidham. I don't understand the thought process there, but yeah, big L for the Raiders and McDaniel.
Maybe the thought process has something to do with that contract that they gave him. What you say, Coach?
Well, I'm gonna take it to no, what kind of relationship does Josh McDaniels have with his players? You know, it's one thing to call plays, but you know, do we really like you? You know, I'm not gonna buy into a system if I don't really like you, you know, or respect you. You know, it's clauses in these NFL contracts that people know nothing about, you know, and if you're not getting me what I need, and we're not even discussing it, but everybody, just like we're sitting here talking about who they got and the weapons they got and why are you not using me? I mean, first of all, you put a franchise tag on Josh Jacobs. So if you put a franchise tag on somebody, that means that you want them there. You could have shopped him, but you didn't. So I look at it as Josh McDaniels is not a good guy that people really can relate to. Doesn't he have like a triangle with Brady, where he's been with Brady, Garoppolo, and now Brady is part of that organization?
That's crazy.
So there's your triangle. Okay, Brady was with him or had, you know, dealings with him in New England, right?
Right.
Okay, so now Jimmy G was whose backup in New England?
Brady's.
Now Brady's gone. Josh McDaniels has got him a new gig. Jimmy G had to go to the West Coast to get kicked out of there to come back over. So now he's with who? The Raiders. Who's coached by who? Jimmy G. Who's got money in the pie? Tommy B. Where you traded me and got me out of there. And then what did I do? I went to Tampa Bay, won a Super Bowl, and Bill ain't did shit since. You got him on the hot seat. Because what you done was you made Bill get rid of what was New England. Tom Brady should have retired a New England Patriot. It doesn't matter. He could still be on the field for him right now. He should have retired as a New England Patriot with the big damn ceremony and the rest of it. And to be honest with you, what was his name that he took his place? When Tom Brady came on the scene, who was it that was starting in New England? Drew Bledsoe. Let him be driving the tractor, pulling the damn trailer that Tom Brady is on in the freaking parade. So I look at it as Josh McDaniels, you're a great offensive coordinator, but you'll never be a head coach. And you're going to be a parasite to anybody that you go to, because you got Bill on the hot seat and you got Tom Brady in the building. Now you got no seat to sit on. So, hey, it's Tom making his move, if you ask me.
And Coach, think about this. What kind of pressure would it be to have a 7-time Super Bowl champion quarterback, the greatest of all time, in your building 24/7, and you're a quarterback, and it's like you go out there and shit the bed one night, and it's like, oh my God, I got to go out and face this guy. I mean, screw the New York media. I wouldn't want to go in my owner's office and the owner. I mean, think about the what you're looked at. I mean, what you're compared to. You're never going to overachieve. I mean, you're just always going to be under that. So I think it's a lose-lose for any quarterback that goes to LA.
Well, I think actually with Tom Brady being in the building, Josh McDaniels out the door, Jimmy G is soon to go. that when a quarterback comes there, if I'm coming to a franchise and Tom Brady has anything to do with it, I already know what he's expecting.
Dude, think about this. You guys are knocking on the door now. Let's think about this. Jimmy G and Josh, and then Brady come in and they both get fired. This is
Hey,
something. I'm telling you, this seems like classic Brady making his move, and I wouldn't be surprised if they come out and confirm that Brady is now a part of ownership in LA after all of these moves. Watch for it. What do you say, Hap?
Well, Josh McDaniels brought this all on himself. His overall record with the Raiders was 9-16, not very good, and his overall record as a head coach is 20-33. So Josh McDaniels just has not gotten it done as a head coach for whatever reason. I'm not sure why. He was a really good offensive coordinator. He knows how to call plays. It seemed like in New England he put players in good positions to be successful and play to the best of their ability. But for whatever reason, with the Raiders, he has been unable to do that. First of all, he traded Darren Waller, which I still don't know why he did that. Darren Waller is a young tight end. He's in his prime, and they traded him to the Giants. So they got rid of that. Then you've got Devontae Adams, and you have no idea how to get him the ball. So as much as I want to say this is on Tom Brady, I can't, because any GM would have fired Josh McDaniels. How do you have a receiver with the capability and talent of Devontae Adams, and you fail to get him the ball for 2 years in a row? Well, when Carr was there, Carr was force-feeding him the ball, and then ever since Carr's been benched, Devontae Adams doesn't get the ball. Very questionable. That shows me a lot about Josh McDaniels. That tells me a lot about what I thought, or his perceived expertise as an offensive coordinator. If you're an expert offensive coordinator, you find a way to get Devontae Adams the football.
Exactly.
Well, what's really weird, Havoc, is that the GM was also fired. I mean, this is a cleaning of the house. This is, somebody in ownership. This is only coming from ownership. So that's one way you got to look at it too. GM's gone. So very interesting.
I know one thing. It's scary out there in Las Vegas. In the spirit of Halloween, my friends. One day later, I said to myself, I had built a whole show without Halloween slides. Said to myself, no, I'm not going to do that. Let's give the fans a treat. Okay? We ain't going to trick them. We're going to treat them. Dalton, who's the scariest team in the NFL right now?
I was prepared for this question already today when I looked at ESPN. Was going over records. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Ooh.
They are the most scary NFL team right now. And I'll be honest with you, right now, they could be on a fast track to the Super Bowl. They are the hottest team in the NFL. The Chiefs, I know they had, bird flu going around, whatever it was. Yeah, they weren't up to their best game, but the Broncos, you kidding me? You can't score 20 points on the Broncos? You better hope that everybody had the bird flu. And I know Taylor wasn't there to give her little, camera, glamour, all that BS that we have to see every Sunday that I'm sick of. But Jacksonville is the truth. Longest winning streak in the NFL, thanks to the Chiefs' blunder. Don't be surprised. Come late January, Jacksonville is in the Super Bowl for the first time.
That's pretty bold.
5 in a row, guys. They have won 5 in a row. That leads the NFL. Price. It seems like the frog is definitely had turned into a prince. What do you say?
Yeah, he may have turned into a prince, but I'm gonna tell you one thing about the frog. He better turn into a prince and win him a Super Bowl quick, because I know Eagles dying on frogs. So to me right now, the Philadelphia Eagles and that defense is the scariest thing to me in the NFL. Yeah, you know, everybody talks about Jalen Hurts and the tush push. It's not meant just to get first downs. It's to keep letting them monsters sit over there and rest before they come up out the tombs like Thriller. And then you know what it really is. And it ain't no more Michael Jackson, so ain't nobody else gonna get the moonwalk out of this. I can promise you that. But I'm telling you, man, it's the Philadelphia Eagles to me. Them boys are deadly on defense, and they're adding more weapons on defense. I mean, when they went out into this, you know, trade market and was going after players, look what they went after. They went after everything that they can find to make that defense more scarier than what it already is. And I'm telling you right now, Jalen Carter is a rookie who's a grown man. I don't know what his mama fed him when he was a baby. I can promise you this. I want to know what hood he went to trick or treating, because that's what they really need to be giving them kids is that candy, because that's grown man. So, like I said, man, right now to me, give me the Philadelphia Eagles as the scariest team in the NFL.
You know, Dalton. I need to put this on tape so that we can come back to this later on. I'm showing my age because I say tape. I don't say nothing digital, and I know the digital stuff, but I like to say tape. You know, you got to remember now. I still believe that Trevor has a little frog in him, and when it comes to the big games, I kind of feel like Trevor's not going to be there. And one more thing. Did they have an advantage? It's rhetorical, but did they have an advantage playing all of those games in London? Because they won a couple, 2 or 3 in London, and at least 2. I know. I'm pretty sure they won in London. So you got to think about it. That goes into the stew, right?
I agree with you. Actually, they did benefit from London, and that was actually what made my pick for them in the second game in London, because they played 2 back-to-back in London. When you're over there and some team has to go across the pond, you already have the upper hand, and they dominated both of those games. And they beat the Buffalo Bills in London.
Yeah,
you know, they didn't beat Rockmart Middle School. So,
and you got, I mean, look at it. Trevor Lawrence, if you put him in a you know, Excalibur, you know, uniform or suit, and he's the prince, and so is the king, he fits the mold.
he does. He absolutely does. He does. And if I was his agent, I'd be marketing just what you just said, right?
put a sword in his hand.
Yeah, I mean, he looks just like a prince. And, you know, I will say about your Eagles pick, those Eagles are scary. I mean, it's quintessential football. It's like, it's beautiful football, you know, and their leader in Jalen Hurts. He's just a man's man, you know, and to dip back into that last slide just a little bit about McDaniels. I don't think people like McDaniels because he's not a man's man. He's coming across like an old Scrooge, like Belichick, you know. So when you have a team like the Eagles, from top to bottom, man, it just seemed like they come out to play. They may slip, but they find a way to win those games. You got to take the Eagles serious when you line up against them. What do you say, Havoc?
Well, my scariest team in the NFL, I've got to say it might surprise somebody, but I got to go with the Miami Dolphins. And the reason for this is, guys, Tyreek Hill, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, his quest for 2,000 yards. Tyreek Hill is at 61 catches for 1,014 yards and 8 touchdowns.
Right.
And the reason I bring Tyreek Hill up is because come January, you guys, everyone on this podcast right now, tell me one team that has a defensive back that can stop Tyreek Hill in January. That they can line up and say one-on-one, I want you to take Tyreek Hill out of the game and stop him. There's not a soul in the NFL that can take him out of a game. They can't.
I will say that there's been 2 games this season where he didn't have 100 yards.
He had like 65 or 70.
Yeah,
but to hit on Havoc's point on that, you also got to look at it. The reason why he could be one of the scariest is everybody say, well, you know, Miami, they got weather and it's all good and everything is fine down there. But he actually played in Kansas City, so cold weather don't bother him.
No.
Mm-mm.
And guys, it's funny because a lot of times, and I can't prove this for a fact, but I can tell defensive backs, they look at Tyreek Hill and his physical appearance. He's a smaller guy, and they don't assume that he is that dude. But he is that dude. He runs right past him. He breaks free. He gets massive separation on his routes. He is that guy. But I am convinced still that from looking at him from first glance, you think he's not until you step on that field. So I still have to go with the Dolphins just for the simple fact that in January, when we get to playoff time, who is going to stop Tyreek Hill? Who can cover him for 4 quarters?
Well, you know what? I had thought about that question too, and I kind of feel like the Dolphins are the scariest team in the NFL, and it is because of Tyreek Hill. And nobody wants to talk about that. You know, everybody it's just like the Heisman. They wanted to be all about the quarterback. I'm telling you right now, it's all about Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is unguardable, you know, and the only thing that's going to save people from Tyreek Hill is to get pressure on Tua. If you get enough pressure on Tua, Tyreek can't run around all day. But to give Tua his credit, he can unload on that thing. You give him a second, and he gonna let that thing ride. So they're scary. You know, they
And
can
then you got Waddle.
And you got Waddle.
Waddle, to me, I've said it all year.
Mhm.
He's the biggest X factor in the NFL.
Right.
How can you stop? You know you can't stop Hill, and then you ask me to stop Waddle, who you put him on any other team, he's a number one.
Yeah, he
I mean,
definitely
this
number
dude
one.
is unreal. And it seems like, I don't know if y'all have seen this year. It seems like Waddle is that quick outlet, that safe, barrier for Tua when we're not trying to go let, Tyreek make up his own routes and just run free. You got Waddle right there, and it's working. So I do agree. They are definitely one of the scariest teams.
And if they ever get a big time tight end, it's going to even be worse. Can you imagine like a Brock Bowers in Miami?
I mean,
Jeez.
it's almost like cheating. And I'm telling you right now, hey, San Francisco 49ers might look back and say, man, wish we had got us a quarterback. Because, listen, we're going to talk about that a little later. But all I got to say is that team it's just as scary as the Dolphins when Purdy is able to do Purdy. But right now, I don't see how you can't get an edge to the Dolphins. 1, 2, Fred is coming for you. Hey, listen, this player is coming for you. We done kind of got into this a little bit, but what player is coming at you? Who is the scariest player right now? He's coming at you. What do you say, Havoc?
Guys, I'm not sure who was watching football this Sunday, but Will Levis of the Tennessee Titans, the rookie quarterback, shredded the Atlanta Falcons. He had 2 long touchdown passes to DeAndre Hopkins, and he had another 30-yard touchdown pass to the number 3 receiver. I'm forgetting his name. Sorry about that. But Will Levis, guys, this guy is coming. I saw this arm strength at Kentucky, but obviously at Kentucky, he didn't have these kind of weapons. As soon as he stepped on the field with DeAndre Hopkins, he was an instant difference maker. And DeAndre Hopkins, what guys don't want to realize is he had 0 touchdowns coming into this game. 0. And he caught 3 touchdown passes from Will Levis. And I mean, on the money, right in stride, perfect balls. And everyone was saying, oh, well, we don't want to draft Will Levis. He's cocky. He poses for the camera. He likes his muscles. He's a weird guy. He puts mayonnaise on everything. Well, put mayonnaise on everything because this guy can pass the football. And I don't care what he puts on his food toppings. If you can pass the football like that, you're good enough to be my quarterback.
100%. And you know what, Havoc? Sound like you got a little bromance going on out there, out there in Tennessee. But you're right. I remember seeing him at Kentucky. And and like I say, and Dalton won't like this, but unless you play for Georgia and unless you play for Alabama, nobody has any good players, right? They don't want to get no other quarterback, nobody no credit in the SEC unless you like
No,
my guy and Joe Burrow and Daniels. We take what we want.
Yeah.
I'm
But
scared of them
Levy,
all.
but Levy, he knew how to. He was a good, solid quarterback.
Yeah.
He reminded me kind of Bo Nix when he was at Auburn. I know he was, and the Bo Nix he is at Oregon, but I saw something in him. I was like, this guy has something to him, and I didn't know he was the size that you say he is.
Yeah,
How
Will Levis 6'4", about 230.
6'4", 230,
Good
and I'm telling
quarterback.
you, he looks good. He really does look good. So I can see how you can have him coming. What do you say, Price?
Well, since we talking about Freddie, this guy you thought was dead too, but he came up. He's gonna come up out of the inferno like Freddie and be in your dreams at night on Saturday night before that Sunday game. But my scariest player right now, like that, coming after me is Chase Young.
What?
Cause nobody thinks Chase Young is gonna come for you like that, but he gonna have you dreaming. He gonna have you having some nightmares. Cause see, you already know what Nick Bosa gonna do, and when you see him, what you better do. That's kind of like Jason. I ain't trying to hide. I ain't even trying to come at you when you sleep. I want you when you're wide awake in the park throwing frisbees with your buddies.
All right.
So that's what you got with Nick Bosa. But that guy that's gonna have you saying, "Oh, dang, I forgot about him." Don't fall asleep. Oh, don't forget that assignment. You better not fall asleep. Why? Because Chase Young is coming for you. That move that was made in San Francisco, watch how that pan out.
Coach ain't nothing but straight money. What's up, Dalton?
I'll tell you who's coming for you. I still believe that it's those Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay, in the worst division in football, they will win it. The Falcons can't figure out who's going to play quarterback. Might be the lunch lady at your local high school this week. Tampa Bay's at least got a good quarterback. Now, that the last 3 games, they've played some of the best teams in NFL. So I think that does matter. Once they get back into divisional play, I think they'll sweep the division. I see the Buccaneers with 8 wins, and it's probably going to be good enough.
Wow, that's I'm a little bit deflated on my Falcons because I was riding with Ritter, but they done kicked him to the curb. So, let's see what old Heineken does. I don't know, man. I still don't. I'm not buying too many of them donuts that Baker is baking. Hey, fellas, the leprechaun himself. Look, that used to be Brock Purdy. He not turned into an old leprechaun. Hey, listen, can Brock be Purdy again and get the gold, Coach?
Indeed. I mean, it's just like the leprechaun said, "Where's me lucky gold?" You just got it when you brought Chase Young in. I'm telling you, what Brock Purdy needed to do was what he was doing in the beginning of the season. Just run the plays, don't force the plays. You had some ball games where your receivers were outstanding, and you try to go into the next 2 games and make your receivers outstanding, but didn't really look at what you done in those games that made them outstanding. You actually you put the ball in everybody's hands, and they were the ones that broke free. But you came into these last 2 games and you tried to put it in their hands. I mean, and not only that, I could tell that you were trying to feed 2 guys so much that your star tight end Kittle dropped more balls than I've ever seen him drop in a ball game. I'm talking about in the breadbasket, in the hands, right between the numbers, whatever you want to call it. Could have been a touchdown. How many passes did Kittle drop? You want to know why I felt that Kittle dropped those passes? It's just like if you was on a basketball court with your buddies and they keep throwing it and passing it to this guy, he shoots and scores. They keep passing it to that guy, he shoots and scores. But in the first game, we were all passing it around and we were all scoring. But it seems like these last few games, all you doing is passing it to them and they the ones scoring. So if that be the case, then guess what? I don't think the ball's coming my way. Oh, and it is because you've been feeding those guys so much. So I think what Purdy needs to do is get back to what makes Travis Kelce successful and just about every team that has a quarterback that's successful in the NFL. Man, you got to get the ball going to everybody, but you got to make sure that Kittle know you're number one on the block. Let him know I'm coming to you with the ball. And see what happens. Every ball game so far that San Francisco played and Purdy did his thing, and we all talked about how good he looked. How many strikes did Kittle get?
And you know, I don't know, man. Like I said, I've been waiting on this this guy to turn into the little leprechaun for a while. You know, he's been, you know, it just I mean, you're the last pick. You're the last pick of the draft. I mean, I want to say for a reason, but let's be honest. He has played lights out when he's been Purdy. So it's hard to say, you know, I kind of feel like I'm double-minded because in one sense, I'm saying I'm praising him when he's just killing it, but 3 in a row, dude, 3 games in a row on that team, that can't work. Have it. Talk to me.
Guys, my theory with Brock Purdy, he needs to get back to how he was playing when they first started playing him. Like when he first replaced Jimmy G. He was conservative. He wasn't taking that many chances. He was throwing to the open man. Brock Purdy was playing like 2000 Baltimore Ravens Trent Dilfer. When Brock Purdy plays that way, as in take care of the football, don't turn it over, it's okay to punt. When Brock Purdy plays like that, San Francisco is lights out. Now, when Brock Purdy tries to show everybody, hey, you guys were wrong for drafting me in the 7th round, I'm the superstar, they do awful. Brock Purdy needs to get back to Trent Dilfer football, which is conservative and take care of it and rely on your defense and running game. You got Christian McCaffrey, you got Joey Bosa, and now, Nick Bosa, and now you've got Chase Young, Randy Gregory, Eric Armstead. You got a ton of guys on that defense. Go back to Trent Dilfer football, be a game manager. And game manager, I don't say that to be degrading. I don't say that to insult Brock Purdy. When he was being a game manager, they were winning football games.
And, man, people need to get, you know, now I say a game manager is a game manager is a game manager. But people need to get over this idea that you got to be Mahomes to win games. You don't have to be that way. If we go and look at some of the most prominent companies, you know, they have excellent leadership and people who don't know how to do what we as employees do, but they know how to man the ship. And that's what you're asking Purdy to do. Just man the ship. You know, but I will say that a lot of people were talking about this the other day is Purdy has never really had to play with this type of, you know, kind of from behind.
No.
You know, had to come and try to win a game. That's a different kind of thing. Everybody can do wonderful when you are the front runner, when you're born with that golden spoon in your mouth. You can do things, right? But when it comes down to, can you get it out of the mud? Can you get that thing out of the mud and make a biscuit with it like Maple Street? Talk to me now.
Well, you know, I had this sitting beside me for a little while, and I've been waiting for this moment. I didn't think a leprechaun was going to be talked about tonight. but I'm going to tell you about a leprechaun story. I'm going to take it back to 2006, Mobile, Alabama. And if you want to look it up on YouTube, there was a couple of people in a neighborhood that said they saw a leprechaun in a tree. Now, they brought the news crew out there, and one of the ladies thought maybe it was just a crackhead who got a hold of the wrong stuff. This other guy said, you know what? I'm out here for the gold. Give me the gold. I want the gold. All right. So if you ain't never seen that video, look it up. You will enjoy it for the rest of history. Dylan Brooks, who's not a part of the show, I sent it back and forth on St. Patty's Day every year. Hilarious video. And you got to check out the amateur sketch of the leprechaun that they gave. You know what? I got it right here. I want you to see this. Here's the amateur sketch of the leprechaun. All right. So can you see it there?
Oh, yeah.
That is the amateur sketch of the leprechaun. So what my point is sometimes things don't seem to be what they look like. Maybe people are on crack. Brock Purdy, he will find the gold again. I think he had to take his drawers to the dry cleaners, or hand wash them, and they're hanging outside in breezy California right now. But I don't think Brock's in trouble. We just talked about it 3 weeks ago, guys. This man hasn't lost a game that he started and finished. And now we're sitting here like, oh, no, it's the end of the world. I'm going to pump the brakes. I think the play calling, Barry, me and you are watching the game together on Sunday. And in the midst of 35 minutes of us talking, he threw 3 interceptions. And we all agreed the play calling is setting him up for failure. Just like Havoc spoke about, I really think they got to get back to that old style, run the football, trust in your players, trust your defense, and then hit them with a play action pass. That's where he's successful. And let's be honest, that's where a lot of quarterbacks are successful in NFL. There's not a lot of guys that can throw it down your throat 50 times a game and just win it. So pump the brakes, guys. But also 2006, Leprechaun in Mobile, Alabama. Go check it out. My God, it's funny.
And that's why I'm going to take a piece of candy out of all 3 of y'all bags and tell you that's the reason why Chase Young was brought in there. Because like you said, Barry, go back to being what you were doing. Havoc said it. Do it the Trent Dilfer way. And Dalton just said, when you try to do it this way, you threw 3 picks before we could have a conversation. And Barry said they're not built to come from behind. So you bring in Chase Young to keep you from having to come from behind by doing it the way Havoc said do it and the way Dalton said don't do it. I appreciate the candy, fellas.
Speaking of candy, is anything sweeter than 1-5? Listen, you got that 112 behind you. I got the 1-5 in front of you. Now, let's talk about this. The ghost of Patrick Mahomes. Does he get a pass because of the way he flew? Talk to me, Havoc.
Yes, absolutely. That was the first time in Patrick Mahomes' career that he even lost to Denver. He's 12-1 for his career against Denver. So I would say he was due to lose at some point. He was never going to go undefeated against the Denver Broncos. And he was just due to lose to them. I mean, it's NFL, any given Sunday, guys. What do we all say? I mean, all of us have said that term at some point, any given Sunday. The Denver Broncos, they're an NFL team. They don't suck. I mean, they might suck for the NFL, but they could beat a college team. They could beat the Florida Gators. So, I mean, they beat the Chiefs. And it happens any given Sunday. It's a rivalry game.
Quick
He
story.
deserves a pass.
Quick story, man. I woke up Sunday morning to a text message that I frequently get from my father-in-law. He's forgotten more about sports probably than I'll ever know, right? He said, Beaster, they got this game at a 6-point favorite for the Chiefs. Only a 6-point favorite for the Chiefs. against the Broncos. He said, what they doing out there in Vegas? What do they know that we don't know? And come to find out, 1-5 has the flu. They knew. They always know. What do you say, Dalton?
Well, not a big fan of the Kansas City Chiefs by any means. Mahomes is great. Still don't like his brother. Still don't like his wife. Can't stand Taylor Swift. Other than watching the Kansas City Chiefs getting absolutely annihilated on Sunday, the only thing that made it better was when that camera panned up to the booth and there wasn't Taylor Swift in it. Oh my God. I heard Travis Kelce wears number 87 in honor of the last 87 boyfriends that Taylor Swift had. And that might be the case. But the Kansas City Chiefs, listen, they're going to give Mahomes a pass, and the NFL fans should as well. The guy, when he's not faking an ankle injury and running 40 yards down the field in the Super Bowl and then getting up hobbling, playing the biggest Ric Flair possum I've ever seen in my life. He's a pretty good quarterback, I'd have to say. Definitely the best in the league. Just not a fan of the theatrics, man. If you want to do that, go to the WWE. We'd love to have you over there. But that's what I think. Yeah, he'll get a pass. He's still great. They'll be back. He just got to, take some ayahuasca juice, and he'll be all right.
You know what's so funny? You know the difference between Patrick Mahomes and Thomas Brady in terms of this acting and flopping stuff you're talking about? They make special rules so that nobody can touch Patrick Mahomes. So he don't ever have to act because you can't get near him. Ain't that right, Coach?
Hey, all I can tell you is no, he don't get no pass, man. MJ played with the flu. All he had to do was overdose on some vitamin C. Besides, you got the best physicians in the world. So you mean to tell me that they're going to let you play with the flu? I know if we went to urgent care, got diagnosed with the flu, the first thing you ain't going to do is go to work tomorrow. So no, he don't get no pass. They got all kind of things that they can take in the NFL to get you out on the field and get you going. If I can go in there in under a tent and y'all can slice a finger off like Ronnie Lott, the dadgummit you can keep me from coughing, sniffling, achy fever so I can rest my medicine and I can do all. I mean, how much vapor rub did your parents put on you when you were sick as a kid and told you to still get outside because they wasn't going to deal with you in the house? Everybody know about the Vicks vapor rub. He would have been fine and dandy. So no, he don't get a pass. It's just like Havoc said. It's any given day in the NFL. The bottom line is no matter what, I said it last night on the college show when we got two undefeated teams that's gonna play each other, and Mike Tyson said 1-0 has got to go when he was fighting Spinks. Dude, eventually it's gonna happen. So I could live all day long knowing that I'm 12-1 against you, than to be able to sit and say, man, I'm 1-12 against that dude. So no. He don't get no pass. What he gonna have to do is next time he plays them, is he got to go beat the brakes off of them. And then not only can we say it was the flu, we can say it was a fluke.
Hey, that boy right there be going ham. Speaking of ham, well, this don't have nothing to do with ham. I just thought I would say that. I have seen stranger things, but this game here left me. Dalton.
Oh, man. There's a lot of games that left me like this, but, we talk about the toilet bowl, Jets and Giants. Oh, my God. Was that even televised? Or did you have to have like some sort of special antenna to watch that
I gotta
program.
live in that city.
Yeah, I mean, my God, that might have only been shown like in CCTV cameras. Nobody wanted to watch that game. We had to pick it. The Chopping Block podcast made us pick it. And I picked the Jets because they are the better team. And you mean to tell me that they went out there and had to go, 65, 70 yards in 40 seconds to win the game against the Giants? What a laughing matter that game was. I've seen stranger things, but that game left me with an absolute migraine and a hangover the next day.
Coach, why Dalton drinking so much, man?
Hey, it must have been that sunburn in Florida, got it.
I'm peeling bad right now, y'all. I think I got dandruff. It's just skin from my head.
Oh.
Stranger thing, Coach.
Well, to me, it was 49ers and the Bengals. And it wasn't the fact that the Bengals won the game, because the Bengals is not a bad team. It was how the 49ers is such a loaded team, and it was such a one-sided ball game. And like I said, the chemistry was off in this entire ball game. So it doesn't matter how much talent you got on the field. If for some reason in that locker room you lose just a little bit of chemistry, dude, the whole formula is off. No matter what. I mean, you sit and say right now, Barry, and I'm sure it's excellent. How long does it take for you to make that roux? But if you a long time, but if one little thing in that formula is off, the roux is boo-boo.
Throw it out.
You see what I'm saying?
That's
it ain't
right.
no, oh, well, it was like this, so I just added a little more of that. No, you gotta toss it. Because the roux is through.
Is boo-boo is a t-shirt.
You know?
That's a hoodie.
But seriously, it was just like the game was really one-sided, and you could tell that when the 49ers was on the field, the chemistry was off. I mean, like, for instance, Christian McCaffrey. He fumbles the ball while he was rolling on a body. But he's one of the strongest cats in the league, and he knows you're trying to rip that ball out. He wasn't quite focused. So that was a turnover. But then you come right back out after your defense do what? Get you a stop. And then Kittle, you drop a ball that was right in your hands that could have went for 45. Y'all came away with no points. So the chemistry is off. And Jimmy, you threw 3 picks in 3 minutes. How did you do that? I was trying to force the guy that I had, this many yards last week in touchdowns, and I was trying to force it to that guy because, dude, do you know how many ESPN Scott Van Pelt highlights we had? It ain't about that. When you look at ESPN and all the other sport channels, you want to see that the 49ers won, not Brock Purdy went out, threw for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns. Anybody can do that when your defense is dominating the ball game. You can always get ahead when you're playing on your side of the field or their side. But when you struggling to try and get the ball across midfield, dude, it's a recipe for disaster because you're not a comeback quarterback. If you showed me that you had some Peyton Manning, some Joe Montana, Steve Young, Troy Aikman, if you had some of that blood pumping through you somewhere where John Elway, where you give me 15 seconds and we got 80 yards to go, we're going to win the game. This is what we're going to do, even if we got to draw it up in the dirt. He don't have that. Like you said, Havoc, the Trent Dilfer way. How did he win a Super Bowl? He dinged it. He found the receiver that made a big play. They went up, and guess what he did? He let Ray and Ed handle the rest.
And you know what?
So
I think that Joe Burrow finally got finished counting that money, and he started to play a little football.
But they even brought it up about him being injured, and we were, had fellas on the show saying he's injured, especially Havoc saying he's injured. They need to let him sit. And what they did was they let him play through it, and he got healthy. But the damage that was done as far as their record and where they're sitting in the conference, like having said, that damage probably wouldn't have been done, because what he did to the 49ers, he could have done 2-3 weeks ago and still be doing it right now if they had to let him sit and heal. But they let him play through it. And just so happened, when he got across over to the West Coast, that sunshine did something totally different to him, and went out there and manhandled the 49ers. And like I said, something's going on in that locker room, because that game was too lopsided for me to sit here and say that the Bengals was that great of a team.
I do think the Bengals that great of a team. When they play like they play, when they're rolling, they're dangerous. And I'm telling you right now, I think you got to start thinking of them as one of the scariest teams in the NFL, because Chase and Burrow, the running back Mixon. I mean, man, dude, they got the trifecta out there. What do you say, Havoc?
Stranger things. Well, I've got to agree with Steve's choice with the Jets and the Giants, but it's for a different reason. The New York Giants, guys, you got to understand, Tyrod Taylor got hurt. So they're on to their third quarterback, and we're on week 8? I mean, Daniel Jones is out with a neck injury. He missed his third straight game. Then Tyrod Taylor gets knocked out of the game. And then a rookie, undrafted free agent, Mike DeVito, has to play for the Giants. And guys, I'm sure everyone's aware of the collective bargaining agreement now, how players don't practice much, this, that, or the other. And when you're the number 3 quarterback, imagine how many reps you get. It's almost 0. So This guy, Mike DeVito, because the Giants couldn't keep their second-string quarterback healthy, had to go out there, and I don't know how they even got the game to overtime. That's a sad statement on the Jets. The Jets should have handled the Giants this game. I mean, they're on a third-string quarterback, and that was the game that left me there. Same with what Steve said. I just don't understand how so early into the season the Giants are already on their third-string quarterback.
Like you said, Havoc, you got Danny DeVito's cousin out there playing quarterback. Okay, this ain't Jersey Mike's Italian subs, waiting for fresh cut deli meat. This dude's got to play quarterback on Sunday. You know what I'm saying? This game, like I said, if anybody had to pay to watch this game, get your money back. Sue, yes. Do what you got to do. Call people. Somebody needs to go to jail, because that is absolutely criminal what the NFL put us through. And it can only happen there is no worse of a place that it could happen in than New York. So I'm glad it happened there.
Yeah, can you imagine? I think the only reason why that game was really televised, if it was televised, is just for the Thanksgiving dinner that's coming up. Because, Uncle Paulie and Uncle Wally are both Giants and Jets fans. They're going to fight behind the house at the pool. You know it's coming.
Dude, listen. The Jets, if I'm not mistaken, has won 3 games in a row.
Yeah, and Aaron Rodgers says he's coming back by week 15.
Hey, but what's up with the Achilles injuries? Kirk Cousins? Hey, I'm telling you, I think what it is there's something going on with quarterbacks getting them tears like that with some type of training that they putting them through. Because I tore mine, and I'm telling you, dude, you really have to do a lot of things that really makes you just explode off your toes for that to happen.
I think it's the turf. I really do. I'm a firm believer that this artificial turf has it's increased injuries.
Well, I think it's actually where quarterbacks where you used to plant your foot and push off when you throw. I think they're telling them pretty much to get closer to the toes and push off, because you're snapping something that only when you torque it too much off of the toes. Because, I mean, when I tore my Achilles, it was literally showing a kid how to run a draw. And I stepped to the side, and as an older guy, I knew I had to make myself look a little quicker, so I just tried to get on the toes,
That's what did it right there.
and that's what did it. And as soon as I pushed off, it sounded like or somebody threw a rock and hit one of the kids in the helmet, and I just did a face plant in the dirt, and that was all she wrote. So I can tell you, dude, when it comes to an Achilles, you really got to do something that's just like boom and explosive. So if a quarterback is not a running back or a wide receiver or anything like that that's on his toes that's coming off, how does two veteran quarterbacks in the NFL in the same season within 8 weeks of each other both tear Achilles tendons?
Maybe they need to go with me to see the Wizard. At the end of the season, will the Lions need to go to Oz? Or will they be the Lion Kings? Talk to me, Havoc.
You see, unlike my opponent this Saturday, Brick Bronson, who we're going to destroy for the tag team championships, for the CCW championships, he has no chance, by the way. Just get ready to taste defeat and lose, because that's what you do. But at the end of the season, the Lions will not need to go to Oz because they have a very well-developed team. The Lions are probably going to win one playoff game and lose before on the way to getting to a Super Bowl. They have a lot of talent. Now, I wouldn't say they're the best team in the NFC. The 49ers and the Eagles are a little better, but the Lions are definitely the third best team in the NFC. So I would say they don't need to go to Oz.
Coach, talk some sense into him.
Well, this is what I think. The Lions really don't need any courage. So I don't think they need to follow any yellow brick roads to try to get there. But what the Lions are is exactly what the story of the Lion King is. Simba was gone for a while, lost on the other side of the village, chased by hyenas. Because we never heard from the Detroit Lions for a long time. Now Simba has came back, and he's got him a little pork out there with them linemen in front of him. So it's a Toomba on the team, and it's Kumbaya with the rest of them. So I'm telling you right now that the kings of the jungle will be the Lions if they play the way that they did Sunday. And you got Jahmyr Gibbs, who must be Simba's offspring because he's a rookie in the league and he's shining. So he's a fresh cat on the block. So I look at it, if the Lions play the way that they did Sunday with Jared Goff being the deadgum orangutan or monkey or whatever that put the symbol on his head, you can look for the Detroit Lions to be playing late in January with a possibility of doing exactly what every king of the jungle does as a lion, and that's wear the crown.
Wow. I would hate to come after that, Dalton. I would hate to come at. I do y'all wrong when I bring y'all that.
Well, the NFL is different than college to me. I'm just telling you, Barry, because it's like college. I'm going to sit back here. I'm going to eat some nachos. I'm going to eat some pizza. I'm doing the whole college thing. But when I'm fooling with y'all, I'm on some good old Bud Light. And just for Halloween, the scariest Bud Light you can drink is one that's got a dadgum falcon symbol on it.
Amen to that, Coach.
Dalton.
Well, let me tell you something. Like Havoc said, the CCW Tag Team Championships are on the line this Saturday, live from Stomping Ground Studios. It's the Brotherhood, the Thoroughbred Havoc, and I guess we could assume Chris Turner, absolute scum of CCW and what they've done the last 2 years, going up against Brick the Wall Bronson from Hell's Kitchen, New York, and the Iceman Luke Frost. And I'll tell you what, it is an absolute pleasure to call this match on Saturday night. And I'll tell you what, it's an absolute pleasure to tell you that the Detroit Lions will be the new brotherhood, and they will take over the NFC. I don't know if I'll tell you this. I think they're going to be in the NFC Championship game, but I don't know if they can win it yet. I think it's a little bit too early. This year kind of reminds me of a Jacksonville Jaguars last year. Yeah, they go to KC. They're in the game. They were in it for a long time. They don't have enough to get through it, even though Patrick Mahomes is hurt. But that's what's going to happen this year. Detroit will be in the midst of the NFC, but I think Philadelphia is just going to be a little bit too much.
Hey, look.
That's how you top it right there, Barry.
I was
the brotherhood.
I was going to skip this slide because you got to talk about the playoff pick, and I was going to go straight into it. But just to give the people one last treat for Halloween, I want each one of you to tell me the most vicious player ever in your mind. If defense was a crime, this guy would be on death row because he's the most vicious player ever. Coach.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and be honest with you. This vicious player ever left us, but his ghost has risen into somebody else in the same city, in the same stadium, on the same field. And one of those vicious players was my man, rest in peace, Mr. Reggie White. And in Philadelphia, this man was a straight beast of a monster inside. And the guy that's there now, Jalen Carter, has went somewhere and played with a Ouija board, and he done got this man's spirit. So the most vicious player ever is not only ever, but also present. And I'm going with Reggie White and Jalen Carter.
Wow. I'm talking about Coach is in the bag. He got the Ouija board out. Have it.
Well, Coach went with a player with a lot more talent than the guy. I'm going to go with Bill Romanowski is my pick. This guy was just the definition of vicious. I mean, he broke one of his teammates' jaws. He spit in J.J. Stokes' face during a game. And I saw a ton of vicious hits from Bill Romanowski, especially when he played for the Raiders. Most people remember him for the Broncos. I remember him most for the Raiders when he was on against the Tuck Rule Brady team that probably should have lost that game. Steve's going to hate that comment, but they should have lost that Tuck Rule game. Bill Romanowski was on that team, and he had several nasty hits against Patriot players. Bill Romanowski is absolutely my pick for the most vicious player ever.
Dalton.
Well, when I think of vicious, okay, vicious to me means, you're firm, but it's not illegal. Now, what he did on Super Bowl night in 2000 might be illegal. But the most vicious player of all time is Ray Lewis. Okay.
Thank you.
This man right here, and I guess I will, y'all all have a little bias in what you say because you watch these guys. It's the same for me. Ray Lewis, man, growing up, this dude, I mean, I'll be honest. I'll give you 3 dances that every white kid in America knew. It's the Soldier Boy. It's the Ray Lewis dance. And it's the Carlton. I'll give you the Carlton from Fresh Prince. All right, that's the only 3 dances us white folk knew in America. So that shows you what impact Ray Lewis had. And this dude was just absolutely nasty. He's got to be. I mean, if you say that he's not a top 5 defensive player ever, I think you're crazy. And I'd love to hear who it is. But like I said, the game, he also played in two different eras. If you look at it, when he started, it was ruthless. It still had that 90s, 80s effect. And then later, he had to kind of change his game, but he was still effective. You couldn't hit the quarterback. I know it's a little bit different than now, but there was a little bit more rules there, with Brady and Manning and Breeze, even Rodgers, Favre. But Ray Lewis, to me, the most vicious, and he controlled games. When you went into Baltimore and he does that goofy ass dance coming out there, you knew, oh my God, we better pack the lunch because it's going to be a long day.
And you
You
what?
know,
Go ahead, Coach.
I totally agree with that. And I sit here and say before, and then you can go ahead on it. I just wanted to hit real quick. I think that Ray Lewis would have been the only defensive player in NFL history that would have had a career as long as Tom Brady's and Peyton Manning's and John Elway's if he hadn't have been injured. See, I think Ray Lewis' body, as far as injury, is what caught up to him as opposed to his will to go out there and punish. Because when he lost a step, he didn't lose a step because Ray was getting old. He lost a step because Ray was coming back from major injury. So I think if Ray Lewis had not been injured as severe as he was, he would have actually been able to go into his 40s and retire still at the top of his game. Because, I mean, Dalton called it right now. Bring Tom Brady back. Everybody will say, bring Tom Brady back. Well, why would you say bring Tom Brady back? Look how old he is. Look at Ray Lewis. Put him in the same category.
To close out this segment, I'm just going to say two words. And we're going to get into this. We're going to bring this segment back later and talk about the most vicious. Maybe we do a top 10 most vicious players ever in the NFL. But two words: Troy Polamalu.
Yeah.
Fellas, week 9 playoff picture. Take a look at this. If the season was to end today, this is what we would have. Look at the beloved Falcons, number 4, sitting there in the playoff. If the season were like, if COVID or something came, they said we're just gonna freeze it right here and go directly into the playoff. These are your teams. What do you say about this?
Well, I would say I'm most surprised about the Falcons and Browns. The Falcons because the quarterback situation. Obviously, Desmond Ritter's a young quarterback. It seems like they've given up on him for this year at least because they announced Taylor Heinicke's going to start. I'm not sure what they're going to do with Ritter. Excuse me. Like I said, he's still young. He hasn't had that many starts. But the Falcons, for sure, they do have a good supporting cast. In addition to Ritter, though, they've got Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and then Kyle Pitts. They've got a lot of talent. So the Falcons, if they can develop Ritter or find another quarterback, they're on the right track. And then the Browns, definitely the Browns have surprised me the most because, I mean, guys, I'm not sure what's going on with Deshaun Watson. Maybe you guys can explain it. But Deshaun Watson hasn't been the same. It's very obvious. And then when he's played, he's been knocked out of 2 games where he's been cleared to return by team doctors, and he's decided not to go back in. I find that very questionable. However, the team has continued to win, and they have plenty of talent. So if they can find something to do with that quarterback position or, maybe fix Deshaun Watson, they're going to be on the right track. But definitely the Falcons and the Browns have surprised me the most.
Coach.
Well, I agree with Havoc to start it out in the Falcons, which is the reason why I don't understand why Steve Dalton is still pulling up the dead gum Bucks. I mean, if the Falcons is leading the division, or leading, that division, then why are we even thinking about the Bucks? That's the
Right.
first team out. But the biggest shock to me is seeing right now, not only, which I know it's going to change, but just to see it right now and know that the Seahawks are 2 and where the 49ers are, knowing really that the 49ers is up there at the 2 by the time this is over and said and done with, because the only reason why the 49ers are sitting right there is because of what we talked about earlier, is Brock Purdy need to go back and find the gold so that he can get back up there, because right now you got the Seahawks looking like the gold is in Seattle as far as that division goes. And on the flip side of it, the most shocking thing to me, as far as the Steelers and the Browns, I think the AFC North is just one. I said it on the first show, the NFL preseason show, that the AFC North, to me, was the toughest division, most competitive. If you look at it, you got 3 teams in that division right now, and none of them have separated themselves away from each other. The only thing we're missing right now is actually Cincinnati. And like we said, if they had arrested Joe Burrow earlier, we would probably see Cincinnati in that spot. And that also puts in effect that Jacksonville went across the pond twice and forced me to have to use dumpster juice frequent flyer miles to get there, because you beat 2 teams over there, including those Falcons that's sitting there at 4. So, like I said, the biggest shock to me is just seeing the Bills sitting that low on that side, and the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Ravens and even the Dolphins actually sitting that high. Because I would actually looked at this board on that side as Chiefs, Bills, Dolphins, as opposed to Chiefs, Dolphins, and then you got Jaguars and Ravens in between before we get to the Bills, and then we got the Browns and the Steelers both down at the bottom. But we got to factor in the fact that Cleveland lost their run game when Nick Chubb went down, and Deshaun Watson is sitting around here playing pity pat and don't want to play. He's the kid that don't want to go trick or treating, but he wants y'all to come home with the candy. So, that's the biggest shock to me, is seeing how far the Bills are down and knowing that, really Seattle is not that number 2 spot, that is really the 49ers if Brock Purdy get himself back on track.
You know what? Somebody picked the Seahawks to win the division, but we might have to go back and look at the tape and to kind of verify that. What do you say, Dalton?
Well, I want to say 3 big surprises. I'll go over the first one really quick. It is the Bills. I think they have one of the best teams in NFL. They've underachieved this year, especially here of late. I would expect them to be. I thought they'd be in the 2 spot. I had them winning the division. So, little shock there. The biggest shock out of all, are you guys blind? Like, you see the Vikings there, right? Like, my God, this is a team. We don't know who's going to play quarterback this week. It might be Tony if he gets back from the boat. The Vikings might be the worst team in the NFL that have a shot at the playoffs. Like, I don't, and they could have lost 3 more games. Like, they are horrible. The Vikings will not be there, and if they are, the NFC just needs to pack it up, because you ain't going to get past week 1 when you start going into. Look at above them. Forget the Falcons. But the 49ers, Cowboys, Lions, Seahawks, and Eagles, they're toaster strudling everybody. And then the other big shock for me, the Steelers. Absolute garbage of an organization to come out on Sunday afternoon and blame the officiating crew for your 10-point loss, saying, oh, they just wanted the Jaguars to win. No, you got beat at home by a better football team, and it is what it is. And the Jaguars showed up, and that was their 5th straight victory. To say that it wasn't warranted was crazy. Steelers, garbage can of the NFL right now. The Browns will be ahead of them. They've rallied around a team effort. They've went to Trader Joe's and got a couple running backs, and they're doing okay. Quarterback, it seems like it's a musical chair there. So Deshaun Watson, if he wants to get, I guess finish with some of these VIP massages that he's getting and wants to come back and play football, we'll see if the Browns, get a little higher. But Steelers, can't believe it. Vikings, I mean, they need to go buy a lottery ticket tonight if they can play that in Minnesota.
Dalton, the Vikings have won their last 3 games.
Who'd they play?
Does that not count for something?
No.
Well, Gary, Kirk Cousins is out for the year now, though.
That too.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, Kirk Cousins, he blew a game early in the year. I mean, it's not – they might get better without Kirk Cousins.
And the blunder that the 49ers had with the Bengals, they dropped 3, Seahawks jumped 3. That's what I'm telling you. Losing 3 spots, somebody's gonna jump that many spots. So
right.
that's why I'm saying I see the 49ers in that slot. I would put the Seahawks ahead of in the Cowboys slot, to be honest with you, is where I would have the Seahawks. But I've still got San Francisco at number 2 in that one.
Well, I still got the Seahawks winning that division. And you guys, you're still drinking them gold milkshakes. Okay? Purdy might be as irrelevant as the draft. We're going to have to figure it out, guys. Listen, you guys told me earlier that Shanahan, well, in an earlier life, you told me that Shanahan is the most brilliant mind in the game.
He is.
Okay? And then you told me he called the wrong plays for Purdy. So y'all got me all confused. Now, what is it?
I don't think he really calling the wrong plays for Purdy. I think the plays that he called for Purdy, he had so much success off of them prior games that he forced it. And then, like I said, the chemistry is off because, no matter how it goes, Shanahan can't go put Stickum on, Kittle's hands like the little Bad News Little Giants movie back in the day. You ain't catching toilet paper rolls in a grocery store. So, you got your main guy. I mean, when we talk about Kittle, we're talking about one of the top tier tight ends in the NFL, and he's dropping wide open passes, but he's dropping wide open passes where they're saying, Troy Aikman is like, Kittle didn't expect that ball to get on him so fast. Well, when they say that in the NFL, that means you wasn't expecting the ball to come to you.
Yeah. We're going to have to see it, fellas. I mean, like we said, that 49ers schedule coming up is going to be brutal. And we're going to have to see. In fact, let's round this off by looking at this last slide here. And this slide right here, I just wanted you guys, before I hand it back to Dalton, I just wanted you guys to kind of tell me, is there a game that you're looking forward to seeing or a game that has implications? Talk to me, Havoc. What are you saying? You're muted, Havoc.
I have to say the Eagles and Cowboys. I want to see how Dak Prescott plays in a game of this magnitude. Usually Dak Prescott comes up short in big moments. So hopefully that'll change against the Eagles. I'm a Cowboys fan, but I would still predict the Eagles to win this game, although hopefully Dak can pull through.
Yeah, that's going to be I think Dak is going to get exposed once again. Those are the games that Dak lose. That is the kind of game they lose.
All these games, bro. You're definitely right.
I ain't betting nothing, not even a brown penny on that.
Mhm.
Talk to me, Coach.
Well, the two games I see the most intriguing as far as playoff picture is Miami, Kansas City, because when it comes to the AFC Championship game, that's pretty much what we're thinking about. So, with them two being right there in the division, knowing what's going on, plus you got to look at it. Can you imagine that matchup? Tyreek going to Kansas City or Kansas City coming to Miami and he dusting them in a bowl when y'all got rid of me like that?
And guess where that game is? Guess where that game is playing at?
It looks like London,
Germany.
Germany. That's right. That's
Oh,
right.
At
So-
9:30 a.m. This game is being
So-
played in Germany, fellas.
Well, we can already tell you what white women in Germany like, and those are cheaters, as in a Tyreek Hill. So I look at the Miami Kansas City game as, like I said, when it comes to playoffs, those are two teams that right now we're going to say could be in the AFC Championship game facing each other to go to the Super Bowl. Who would have the edge? We're going to get a chance to find out in this ball game, because no matter what, both teams are going to go back and reevaluate this game as opposed to any game that they've watched the entire season. This is going to be the film that you're going to watch the most instead of what their prior opponents were, because this is who you actually got yourself prepared for through the prior games that they played. So I look at Miami and Kansas City as one. Two, to me, is Buffalo and Cincinnati. The reason why I say that, because this is the guys right now that are fighting for the wild card. So you got two that's fighting for who could be the one to come out on top in this conference, and you got two down at the bottom that's fighting for, we need to try to make the playoffs and get a wild card, because whichever one of us lose, the percentages of us making it to the playoffs, it drops a little bit more in the NFL than it does in any other sport.
Oh, that's a great point. What do you say, Dalton?
So I got two games, and all of y'all have stole every one of them. So I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I do agree. Dallas, Philadelphia, great games. I look at Buffalo and Cincinnati. That was my actual top game. I think at Cincinnati, there's a lot to play for there. Cincinnati, if they win, I'm pretty sure they're back in playoff in the top six. Or top seven, whatever it is now. So that's going to be interesting. Buffalo has got a lot to play for. They have struggled all year. They keep sliding. So that's going to be great. Dallas, Philadelphia, going to be absolutely great. But I do agree with you guys. That seems like a game that the Eagles will just absolutely dominate and win big. Fox Sports might be tuning into another game in the third quarter there. So the one that really sticks out to me here is Arizona and Cleveland. And let me tell you why. Arizona is just trying everything they can do to be the worst team in the NFL. You just traded your best player, Josh Dobbs, who was supposed to be your scapegoat this year. This guy literally came out and said, I don't really care if they want me to be bad. I'm going to play hard. And arguably, they should have won more games. And then you trade him. So my question is, do you even show up in Cleveland? Because if you lose this game, you're probably going to get the first pick. You might get the second. I mean, it's going to be right up there. But what do you do with Kyler Murray coming back? Do you go get a quarterback in Caleb Williams?
It's so interesting that you say that, because in the first show that I prepared for this week, I had to slide on Kyler Murray. What do you do with all of that money? What do you do? They should have never paid that guy. I said it back then. I don't like that little dude. I ain't gonna even go there, but
Hey, dog, I'll go there for you.
I'm not even gonna go there. I'm not even gonna do it. But I can tell you right now, that's what I was thinking too, Dalton. What do they do with that contract?
I think Kyler Murray is the reason why Josh Dobbs is gone. That he pretty much said, "Get him out of here. I'm not going to be his backup. I'm not going to sit and let him go and start a ball game. I'm not going to stand on the sidelines for a game. I don't even want to go in a ball game, make a whole bunch of mistakes because y'all know I don't study the playbook. I could care less about it. I'm just going to draw it up in the dirt for myself because I'm Kyler Murray and y'all pay me all the money. But if y'all was to let me come in this ball game, and if I limp on one play, or if I happen to throw 4 picks in the first quarter, you better not put him back in the ball game. As a matter of fact, just go ahead and get him out of here."
Yeah.
So I think it's Kyler Murray being the brat.
And if we can, real quick, I know we want to get out of here, but what do you guys honestly think about Kyler Murray in this whole situation with the Cardinals? Because if they do get the number 1 pick, or even the number 2 pick, because think about who's coming out of the draft. We're almost certain, it seems, Caleb Williams is going to come out of the draft. Could Sanders come out of the draft? Who knows? Bo Nix will be out of the draft. Penix Jr. will be out of the draft. Jaden Daniels. Who else? There's a couple
Carson
other
Beck.
good guys.
But the thing is going to come down to, man, listen, this right here, what's happening in Arizona, man, is bigger than just wins and losses. Okay, we've touched on this a little bit tonight when we talked about Josh McDaniels. Listen, man, they're tired of Kyler Murray. They're gonna eat some of that money just to get rid of that kid.
Bear, you can't. Yeah. Arizona wouldn't be a state if they had to eat all that money.
They're gonna have to.
This is what's gonna happen. Watch what happens in this NFL draft. Somebody is going to trade up and give away a whole lot of real estate if you'll take Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
And it's going to be some teams who are in desperate need of a quarterback who don't want to go develop a rookie.
But who can put that much money into a guy, Coach? That's what I don't think anybody
can put that kind of money into one. Washington can put that kind of money into one. Green Bay can put that kind of money into one.
Do you really think that a team would take that burden? Because if I'm an NFL executive owner and I see Arizona with this, here's what I'm telling all my other buddies that are executives: do not bail Arizona out because they are in the dumpster for 30 plus years because of this one mistake.
Because of him.
No, that's what I say, but that's what I'm saying. They're gonna have to deal him, but they're gonna have to eat some of that money. They're gonna have to eat some of that money. You know what I'm saying? But they're gonna get rid of him.
Because this is the way it works sometimes in the league. Let's take the Chase Young situation for instance. San Francisco's only got to pay him $600,000. Washington is paying the rest of that $6 million.
There you go. That's what I'm saying. That's what's going to happen with Kyler Murray.
Exactly, and he's going to be out of there. Because you got to look at it. Chase Young for a third round pick, and that's it.
And and another thing is, it's just like, what a lot of people do when they get broke up with, they want to see what they get replaced with. Okay? Arizona ain't going to be getting no little leprechauns no more. They're going to be going and look for a prototype.
That's what it is.
That's what I feel. You know what I mean? So I don't know the sizes of all of these quarterbacks that's coming up into the draft, but I can just tell you that if they do make that move, it's going to have to be somebody with some size. Now, I don't know how big Caleb is or whatever, but I think they don't want Kyler, not just because of his physical attributes, but he is just a nuisance. He's a headache. They wrote in his contract that he had to study. Okay? He's done. You don't ever live something like that down. It's time. It is time for Arizona to be thinking about, hey, you know what? I made a bad deal. This might happen in Cleveland too with Deshaun. You know, you made these deals. Hey,
Yeah.
you threw it all in.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to sleep in the bed that you made. You know, I hope it don't happen for Deshaun, but there's just something weird going on with this. You cleared and you're not playing thing. Anytime I hear that, it's something in the soup.
And before we go on that, y'all remember the little video game Mario Kart? Kyler Murray is Toad. The little mushroom dude, he was fast and quick, but he didn't benefit nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You didn't pick him because you know if he got hit with a red shell, he off the board.
Man, I love that. I love that Mario Kart. I'm gonna say one game before I hand it back to you. That Seattle-Baltimore game. That thing is gonna be fireworks, man. Pete Carroll is gonna try to go in there and get that game. People are not giving Pete Carroll enough credit, man.
That like he's gone, Barry.
That dude he's drinking for the fountain of youth.
They just got Leonard Williams too, Barry, from the Giants for like a 3rd-round pick.
That's what I'm trying to tell you guys, man. Y'all say that 49ers need to be in that number 2 spot. You better be watching what Pete Carroll and them Seattle. See, it's Geno Smith.
He scared me.
And that's what a lot of people are going to do. That's what you're going to think. But Pete Carroll is the first one to me that has really given Geno Smith the job. You know what I mean? I feel like Geno Smith is, I guarantee you, they got a good relationship. And a lot of times, we all know in our companies, who we work for or whatever, when somebody believes in you, and they communicate with you on that level, that kind of affirmation, it make you go out and do what you need to do. And that's why I think that Seattle, San Francisco are going to have to win that NFC West. Seattle's not going to give it to them. Back to you, dog.
Yeah, one thing before we send it home, I agree. Geno Smith has earned this opportunity, number one. But he's finally been given a shot. And, hey, you're the quarterback. Go out there and play the game. And there's no perfect coach than Pete Carroll. I mean, he's proven it. So I'm really happy to see that. But also, this is going to be a huge game. Lamar's looked great all year.
Yeah.
And this could be a game to where, I mean, you know, I think the Ravens shot us a couple weeks ago when they just whopped the floor with who was it? The Steelers, or I believe it was the Steelers. They beat somebody bad, and this could be one of those games. But Pete Carroll will have any team ready to play. Anybody would go to war for him. So I'm excited to see these NFL games this week. Maybe I can take a break from work at 9:30 and watch what's going on in Germany. That's going to be a crazy scene. I'm sure they're at the Allianz Arena, which is the home of Bayern Munich. Beautiful arena, and it holds a lot of people. And they love football and they love beer, so they'll be drinking.
Hey, and one thing before we get out of here, man, I know we didn't get to it, but I had to dig deep into it to the you know, the archives. But real quick, name your scariest movie, and then I want the people who watching to go watch it.
Oh, that's a good one.
Just real quick.
Hold on.
Y'all go ahead, and then I'll end the show.
Yeah.
Okay, let me go ahead and let me do this right here then, Coach. Since you put it like that. Let me
and we have to do it for Halloween. Y'all go watch the movie. Get your popcorn. It's the real
drop that thing in there, okay? So this movie right here is a movie. Now I'm telling you right now, Beach the King don't like them scary movies.
I don't either.
I like to go to sleep. I like to go to sleep at night and know everything. Nobody gonna be in my dreams with me.
that's a real black thing.
This thing right here, the Babadook. I don't know if you guys have seen this out there in Scaryland, but this movie right here, man, this is one of those kind of things that just mess with you for a long time. I don't know what got in me to make me want to watch this movie, But dude, it drove me crazy. I'll never watch it again for any reason. But it's a good movie, but it's a scary movie. Babadook.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, y'all go watch it. I can't stand them, these kind of movies especially. But The Diary of Emily Rose.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
You see what I'm saying, dog? Hey,
Yeah.
y'all made me dig deep.
Yeah.
When I said, no, that really wasn't scary. I know that shit ain't gonna happen. No, I know. Now he gonna slash somebody up. I already know he gonna kill about 20, 30 people. This dude over here, he gonna make you saw your whole dadgum arm off. But then I said, what would really scare me? And I said, ooh, I remember one scene in that movie. And that's when a boyfriend woke up in the bed. He looked over and she was on the floor. And her body was turned upside down, and then all of a sudden her neck went. Hey, dog, that's what I was like. Hey, I gotta go.
My God. Dalton, you got one?
Yeah, have it. You got one?
Man, probably Saw 3 when I was like 14. That movie terrified me, bro. Like, I remember watching that and I was like, man, what do you mean you got like a next set of questions you got to answer? Oh, no. It's Saw 3 for sure.
I have not seen a single Saw. I haven't seen any of them. And I just don't know if I got the courage to sit down and watch them.
That's what I'm talking about. He gonna make you saw your arm off.
Yeah. So I'll give you mine, and then we'll call this thing. This was a hell of a show. It always is. You know, I can't do the Saw movies. I'm not big on the gore, and I'm not big on the whole ordeal, like the torture, and that's not for me. But if you want to just talk about naturally scary movies, all right, this movie right here, y'all, 30 Days of Night, okay? It is the scariest movie to me, and you can still find it a lot. It is actually on cable, but the story is about this town in Alaska. And obviously in Alaska, they go months with total darkness. Well, this one town is known for these vampires come out. And man, let me tell you, there's these 3 vampires in here, and they are bad to the bone. And this, like, I think he's like a sheriff or something in town. He's trying to protect his wife. And it gets absolutely absurd, and it is terrifying. But it's actually a really well put together movie. It's not, some low budget film. And the ending, it's one of those good ending scare movies. It's not like, man, let's be honest. We've been chasing Michael Myers for 45 years. Jamie Lee Curtis is going to die before we get Michael Myers. So hey, she needs to go ahead and get him, light him up, send him to space or something so somebody can deal with him in the future. But she's going to die before he goes. So, but that's the scariest movie for me, 30 Days a Night. Go watch it. We might even pull a clip up at the very end when we go backstage here. But this has been the Chopping Block Podcast presented by DJ's Clam Shack, the NFL show on Wednesday nights. Great show as always, hosted by our executive producer, Beastie Kane. And just a reminder, we have a special broadcast coming up here in the future. We hope to bring it to you next week. The story of Asad Bashir, the day tomorrow was promised. We heard this story last night. Had to turn the cameras off, and that was the second time I had heard it. Unbelievable story. And I'll be honest, I think it's going to be a movie one day. I think that is a story that America needs to hear, and the Chopping Block Podcast will bring you that straight from the horse's mouth, Asad Bashir. But we will see you next week. Steve Dalton's going to be in Nashville. Apparently somebody's got him tickets for the Grand Ole Opry. So we'll see how that goes. But I hope I can make it a next week's show. But we appreciate you joining. See you next week.
Yeah, we about to do it. Watch us